Hey everyone, welcome to Monster City. Spencer here, and today we are looking at the Godzilla vs. Kong New Empire, or The New Empire, Titan Evolution Godzilla from Playmates Toys. This is also from the Monsterverse series. I just want to address that I'm not really a big fan of the Monsterverse series at all, really. The only movie that I really liked was Godzilla 2014, and even then I was kind of disappointed with it because I was expecting it to be kind of like Godzilla 1980 or Godzilla 1954 or even Godzilla Resurgence, aka Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla was probably one of the best Godzilla movies I have seen. I also do like the movie Godzilla Final Wars. I'm not going to say that Godzilla Final Wars is that good of a movie, but I just like it for nostalgic reasons. I'm really a person that likes monster movies in terms of the monster's design, not so much like the actual story, especially if it's a story that I don't think is that good, like the Monsterverse series, for example. Like with King Kong 2017, that movie, I didn't really like it all too much, but I liked the monsters in it, such as the skull crawlers, such as the mother longlegs. So, with that being said, people are probably just wondering why. I can only assume that some people, not all people, are just wondering why I'm purchasing this figure. And that is primarily because, if none of you know already, I am a huge fan of toys that are made out of stretchable rubber. Basically, rubber animal toys. This is a little bit different, more commercialized, in a sense. In terms of a toy that I do want to get from Playmates Toys, to this day, apart from this toy, is the Pteranodon from King Kong 2005, which in my opinion, also due to nostalgic reasons, is one of my favorite movies. Not my favorite movie, but it's like one of them, definitely. It's hard for me to decide which movie would be my favorite movie. One of my favorite movies, at least, that I kind of like to this day, that I don't necessarily get all too tired of watching, is The Wailing from 2016, directed by Na Hong-jin, and by a pretty good cinematographer in South Korea named Hong Kyung-pyo. Hopefully I pronounced that right, but probably not. Who knows? But anyways. Okay, so this is pretty cool. So, yeah, like I said, I'm a huge fan of rubber animal toys and stuff, so having the ability to purchase a stretchable rubber Godzilla figure is right up my alley. I like this Godzilla design as well. It's not my absolute favorite Godzilla design. Godzilla isn't like my favorite character either, or anything like that, like my favorite monster from the Godzilla movies. Don't get me wrong, Godzilla is really cool and all, but Anguirus is probably my favorite character. My favorite design of Anguirus is Anguirus from Godzilla Final Wars. This Godzilla design is pretty cool, all in all. I really like it, and I just like the conception of a Godzilla figure inside of a Godzilla figure kind of thing, to where there's basically just kind of like a husk over it. And you can basically take out this husk as well, which is pretty cool. So, right now we are doing that. if I can get it off. Okay. Doesn't really budge all that much. For some parts, it's a little bit harder to take off, especially with the feet. The feet are probably maybe the hardest part. I don't know. I haven't taken off the tail yet, so I'll be the judge of that for this video. The main thing that I worry about is ripping open the Godzilla husk, the rubber husk of it. Oh, that's interesting. It's actually attached to a string. Okay. Yeah, that is pretty cool. That is really cool. So, obviously, everyone knows. So, this is what I bought this figure for entirely. Just this. This I don't necessarily care about as much. But this, though, this is where it's at for me. Yeah, wow. This Godzilla reminds me of these figures that I've seen on Google Images that are from Japan. They're these very small, probably like 3-inch tall figures. And one of them, one line of figures, they have Gamera and Godzilla. And you can actually stuff those figures inside of Gamera and Godzilla. It's basically kind of like a rubber suit, basically. I thought those were pretty cool, and that's what this reminds me of the most. That, and also Jack-specific Van Helsing toys, specifically the Van Helsing / werewolf figure, to where you can stuff Van Helsing inside the werewolf. It's the same gimmick, pretty much. And also this toy gives me a variety of options in terms of creative uses. And what happened to the quality in Playmates toys? Back in 2005, when they were releasing figures for King Kong 2005, there was so much more detail and care put into the paint jobs of King Kong, as well as other figures. It just doesn't have the same quality anymore. Even with their TMNT series in the early 2010s, their quality was much higher. Sure, they missed spots to where they were painting them, but still, it was pretty good with their quality and detail that they put into the figures. With the manufacturement of how they're directing the people to put the thermoplastic in the molds, I guess they're not really directing it well enough to where they can paint it well. I mean, there still is some detail, but it's undersaturated and it lacks contrast. The quality is just lackluster compared to their past stuff. So I'm not sure what's happening with their figures, but I'm not a big fan of this Godzilla design here because the quality is pretty lackluster in my opinion. Since this is a rubber Godzilla toy, I'm not going to complain. Rubber material is hard to paint quite a bit, and I don't blame them for having it like that. But with harder plastic, I'd think otherwise, since there's much more stability to it, and since it's a easier material to paint compared to rubber. what they usually do with rubber materials, with rubber toys and stuff, is that they put a thin coat of rubber on it that adheres to it in order to paint it. They probably do the same thing with the dry brushing on Godzilla's plates. So here's a comparison of this Apatosaurus. I'm pretty sure it's Apatosaurus, the one with the sails on their backs, and also another stretchable rubber movie monster, King Kong. Specifically, King Kong 2005. The reason why I show the Apatosaurus is because of this. This character can be de-skinned. You can de-skin it and take the skeleton out, kind of like this Godzilla figure. But instead of a skeleton, it's just the smaller Godzilla figure. It's kind of an interesting story about King Kong, other than that he has definitely seen better days. Since I've had him since I was 5 in December 25th, 2007. This King Kong toy was in the same packaging as the Playmates Toys King Kong that pounds his chest and roars, like the 12-inch tall one. I remember this toy fondly because of that. I actually made a mistake by cutting off his arm because there was this plastic gorilla toy that I have. They only have one arm. So I tried to attach the stretchable rubber King Kong arm to it, but then I regretted the decision, so it's been glued on ever since. Kind of like lens filters or just kind of camera filters digitally to make like an analog horror video or something like that. Such as if the quality is so bad on this figure, then I could probably use bad quality footage of. Or, apart from the bad quality, is probably make a thermoplastic, a meltable polymorph plastic skeleton out of polymorph plastic for this Godzilla. And use, let's say, probably stretchable rubber organs to put inside of it. In my opinion, it's a great figure. I like it. I like the rubber Godzilla that I have finally. Not so much the actual figure itself. I don't necessarily have much constructive criticism for this figure, other than me just saying that I don't like it. But anyways, if you like stretchable rubber toys, if you like monsters, if you like stretchable rubber monster toys, this is right up your alley. It's not filled with beads or anything, such as some of them. It's not filled with sand, but it gives you creative opportunities to like store other toys inside of it, or kind of other volumes. Maybe you could make your own skeleton if you want to, like an actual miniature Godzilla, to where they actually have articulated knees, for example. I mean, it's up to the person who owns the toy, all in all. So, anyways, I give this rubber Godzilla a 7 out of 10, and I give this plastic Godzilla a 6 out of 10.